The angels spread out across the length of the train, going from car to car, checking the passengers' safety. They are not armed. All angel members have been trained in the martial arts for self-defense. He says some newcomers have instantly hated him because he came too close to understanding their real problems, that deep down inside, they just wanted to be loved.
Hello, I'm Joe Averill. The Guardian Angels started out 3 years ago with a group of 13 kids who rode the subways of New York City trying to protect the riders. Well, now the Angels number in the thousands. Are they a worthwhile group or dangerous vigilantes? That's a question we have to answer now, since a chapter has recently started here in Miami. To help with the answer, here is a report filed by Diana Gonzalez DeRuthi earlier this year, where she traveled to New York to see what the Guardian Angels are all about.
Guardian Angels are basically a multiracial group of young people, males and females, who wear red berets and t-shirts. The concept is to establish yourself as a deterrent. Your mere presence is going to indicate that no one is going to commit a crime in your area. To make people feel better by your mere presence. And third, and most importantly, to act as role models within the community, both for the young people, who particularly are the ones committing the crimes, and for those who have gone beyond their younger years, to reinstill in them the hope that they can once again do what was being done 40, 50 years ago when people just cooperated with one another.
There are 1,000 Guardian Angels in New York City and its suburbs. 85% are Hispanic or black. Most of the members are males between the ages of 15 and 19. But Lisa Evers is one of the exceptions. She's a 23-year-old white woman. Lisa works as a manager of an art gallery in Manhattan and lives on the Lower East Side. But at night, she becomes a Guardian Angel.
I got involved with the Angels because I live in a really rough neighborhood, and once I learned how to defend myself, I felt concerned about other people. And I wanted to do something on a volunteer basis to stop the crime situation in the city. The patrol that I work with, it's mostly guys. I'm the only female in it. And we all, we enjoy ourselves, but we have a very strong sense of purpose that comes through, and we really feel like we're doing something constructive.
Lisa has been a Guardian Angel for the past year and a half. She's now the New York City leader for the group and recently led the Angels to Atlanta. Lisa does not quite fit the stereotypical image of a Guardian Angel, and so it took a while before she was accepted by the rest of the members. At first, was there perhaps a little hesitance?
Well, there was, because I was female, and so once they tested me out with physically, saw what I could do, saw that I knew how to defend myself, they accepted me a lot. Now they treat me like a sister. They look out for me, I look out for them.
The Guardian Angels are famous for patrolling the subways of New York City. They travel in groups of at least 8. The Angels spread out across the length of the train, going from car to car, checking the passengers' safety. They are not armed. All Angel members have been trained in the martial arts for self-defense. At a stop, all the Red Berets peek out the automatic doors and check for trouble in the station. Tonight, the coast is clear, but the Angels have run into plenty of trouble in the past.
Well, first night on patrol, I went up to the subway, and there were 2 fights on the subway going up to the Bronx on the way up to the headquarters. So that was an indication to me, if I'd had any doubts at all about what it was going to be like. I knew that it was going to be rough.
The Angels aren't just an underground patrol group anymore. Their roots now extend to crime-ridden streets like Times Square. Each Angel is required to patrol at least 8 hours a week, broken down into 2 4-hour shifts. And they don't get paid 1 cent for their time. So what is the motivation behind these youths joining the Guardian Angels?
Well, it was a personal reason. My family had gotten mugged. Parts of my family, my 2 cousins, gotten mugged uptown, the number 3 train. And I was like 2 stops away. I was trying to catch up to them. When I found them, they were kind of beat up. So I started looking for the people who had done it. And I met up with this guy who explained to me what the Guardian Angels were about, and I joined up.
Well, I was tired of seeing people abused in the city's subways and on the streets. You know, I have relatives who ride the subways. My mother was once mugged on the subway. She had a gold chain ripped off. So I figured, you know, these guys out there doing something good. I have karate experience, so I figured I'd join them too.
80% of the Guardian Angels in New York City come from the 10 worst criminally reported precincts in New York City for all of 1980. The 10 worst crime-infested neighborhoods, all across the board in New York City. 65% come from the 10 worst criminally reported high schools in the city and 10 worst educationally inferior high schools in the city. So we're dealing basically with young men and young women who come from areas where crime is a way of life, from the time they wake up in the morning to the time they go to sleep at night, where they're inundated constantly, where they are of a lower economic strata, and they are looking for ways to try to straighten their neighborhood out.
Curtis Sliwa, the founder of the Guardian Angels, has become a national celebrity. His tattered apartment in the Bronx serves as the national headquarters for the group. The walls are covered with photographs of his angels at work.
Young people have to be able to realize that they can participate, that they can contribute to stopping this rise in violent crime. Now, if you're going to turn your backs on all these young people who are willing to help and say, you're not mature enough, you're not physically developed, you're not at an age where you can make decisions, then what you've done is you've alienated them. And what other course of action are they going to seek? They're going to look at the role models in the community, the pimps, the pushers, the bullies, the gang members, those people who establish reputations in the community because they do less than good things.
Sliwa boasts that in the 2 years the group has worked in New York, the Angels have made more than 100 citizens' arrests, and he says no angel has been hurt, except for a minor injury that he sustained. Sliwa describes his group as the eyes and ears of the police, but officials here don't quite see it that way. The Angels have had several run-ins with the transit police when they've slipped by without paying the subway fares.
Well, as the chief of the transit police, I have, I guess, kind of mixed feelings about the Guardian Angels. The concept of the Guardian Angels, I think, is certainly a good one. There are some negative sides to it, and that is the issue of an organization such as this, which decides that it's going to engage in a quasi-police function. The possibility always exists for excesses or abuses, and I think that the official law enforcement community has to keep its eye out to make sure that such things don't occur.
But in the eyes of the people in New York, the Guardian Angels are heaven sent.
I think they really do serve an important function, and they involve the community, which is a good turn.
I think they're a very good group of people trying to do something for society. I give them a great hand.
I think they're doing a good job. I really do, because I feel that if people aren't going to do good, they're more prone to doing something bad, right? So they're really making an effort and attempts, and I feel that too many people are putting them down because, you know, they're really trying to help.
Well, I think, you know, what they're doing is very nice. We need more people like them around, you know. Nobody else is going to do it, so, you know, people may as well get together. You know, things are not getting any better. They're getting worse.
Well, I think that they're pretty good, you know, because you always see them patrolling up and down on the subway. And that kind of disencourages, you know, these people that would otherwise bother you, you know. You can sit down and read your newspaper without having to look up every couple of minutes and wonder if somebody going to rip you off or anything.
Oh, I think they're doing a very good job, you know, considering the problem that we have here in New York. And at least it's an attempt to do something about the situation.
It has taken the Angels 2 years to gain the popularity and the membership they have in New York City, and now the group is spreading like wildfire. They've established chapters in Los Angeles, New Jersey, and now Miami. More than 300 people have applied to become Guardian Angels here. At least 50 new recruits have already started martial arts training. So the first group of local Angels will start patrolling the streets of Miami sometime in September. But how do people here feel about the Guardian Angels?
I think it's an excellent idea for crime in Miami. I think it's fantastic. And I hope they're welcomed here because I think it's really a great idea.
I would think that anything like that could only add and maybe make it a little safer. hopefully it's not as bad as it is in New York. But yeah, I would like to see them come.
I know that the police is doing whatever they can, but obviously help from any place that we get in this community especially will be good.
Well, it's a good idea if they're going to really solve all the crime in Miami, but you know, I figure the police can't do nothing. I don't think they can either.
Perhaps it'll help. I really don't know. I hope it'll help, and I heard they've done some good in New York in the subways, so.
When the Angels first started their patrols in New York, authorities there condemned them as a radical vigilante group. Now, 2 years later, they say it's impossible to measure what effect the Angels may have had, but admit the group's presence is probably a deterrent to crime. Here in Miami, officials seem much more open to the idea of a group like the Guardian Angels.
I feel good, because anytime you get a group of citizens that want to do something positive, you know, that's what the Boy Scouts are all about. Now, they have a little bit different style than the Boy Scouts, but I think it's good. Communities depend on police departments. Police departments depend on community goodwill and cooperation. When you have people that are out there acting as eyes and ears and helping and assisting, not the police, but the community, then I think you have a winner. And I think this is fraught with problems, but I think there's more good than bad, so I'm supportive.
I guess any kind of concern where you have citizens on the street who may become involved in the intervention of a criminal act, there are certain concerns and certain reservations, because I think that the police agency is the appropriate group to be doing that. On the other hand, if they can assist us by making information known to us and identifying suspects and things such as that, then they're going to be very welcome.
In Miami, the Angels will be patrolling areas where street crimes are prevalent, like Little Havana, Coconut Grove, and Liberty City. The group hopes to recruit members from those same areas. One might think perhaps the Guardian Angels are just a fad. Local and national press coverage on shows like PM Magazine and ABC's 2020 has given the organization prestige and popularity. CBS recently aired a television movie about a group like the Angels. But even if all this attention does fade away, Curtis Sliwa says he and his Angels are out to leave a permanent impression.
The ideal hope of the Guardian Angels, aside from volunteer service, is that one day we will be able to retire the shirt and beret, because once again, all people are guardian angels unto each other, and you won't need to have to stand out like a sore thumb in the crowd to prove that you're capable of helping other people, to turn around the problems that we have today in which people no longer respond to the needs of people.
Everyone knows that crime statistics are rising, of course, in South Florida. According to law enforcement officials, repeat offenders, people who have already been convicted of crimes, are a major part of the problem. Here's Diana again to conduct a tour of a facility here in Miami where recently released convicts are counseled to take them off the vicious merry-go-round of crime.
You would think criminals see an urban neighborhood as only a target for easy money. But on Northwest 2nd Street in the city of Miami, a few former criminals have a home. They call it Riverside House. Here young men, some of whom have been in and out of prison most of their lives, are catching up on what they've missed along the way, like an education.
Okay, so that means, what's that mean to you?
Well, to me that means that what they're saying is a prefix can be used in several ways.
Riverside House, if you haven't already guessed by now, is a halfway house for ex-criminals. It doesn't seem to be like other halfway houses, though. Yes, there are many rules to follow, but at Riverside House, the basic rules of life come from only one source.
As he saith unto another place, thou art a priest forever after the order of
Melchizedek.
Melchizedek.
Very good. Okay, Zechariah 9:9.
Okay. I might give you a call Friday.
Yep.
37-year-old Cleveland Bell is the executive director of Riverside House. He's been in prison twice for numerous charges, including strong-arm robbery and possession of narcotics. But then his whole life changed. 4 years ago, he began to offer help to other ex-criminals at Riverside House. Bell's Christian philosophy reaches out to all of the needs of each person.
So we feel responsible for the total man, emotionally, psychologically, educationally, physically, spiritually, the whole thing. And I think that if we're going to be successful with helping people help themselves, then we've got to deal with the total man. One of our philosophies here, Glenn, is to work ourselves out of a job. I don't want a guy to be dependent on me the rest of his life. I want to teach him and share with him everything that I've learned. Help us, Lord, to get in touch with what it is that you're trying to say to us. Amen. Amen.
Weekly services are held upstairs where members and counselors sing, pray, and celebrate. At the heart of these meetings is a personal message from Bell about love, trust, and a spiritual search. He says some newcomers have instantly hated him because he came too close to understanding their real problems, that deep down inside, they just wanted to be loved. Bell understands that lonely feeling.
You know, I remember one time I was hurting inside, man, and the front that I had was tremendous. I mean, I gave this front that I was in control. I came across as though I knew everything, but inside, man, I was confused. I was hurt. I was lonely, and I needed somebody to reach out beyond all this crap, man, that I had up in front of me to see the real me. When I got involved in it, you know, I kind of approached this God trip like a 30-day thing, like at Sears, you know. I said, you know, I'll check it out for 30 days, God, and if it works, man, groovy. If it isn't, I'm going to chuck it back at you because it's just another trip. And what I can do then is go on through life saying, well, I tried that. The next time a guy comes and tell me that God can help me, I can say, oh, man, get off my back. I done tried that God trip. It don't work. But I want you to know what started out as 30 days has eventually turned into 12 years.
Riverside House is a non-profit organization sponsored largely by the Riverside United Methodist Church located on the next street. In the 4 years Bell has been director, over 300 men have passed through the program. Only about 12 beds are available now, so new members are carefully screened. Bell says prisons are good for some people, but not everyone. The new members are given responsibilities like cleaning up or repairing the house. Clients successful in keeping up their odd jobs are rewarded with privileges, like moving from a dorm to a semi-private room. The next step is finding a paid job off campus. The client does this largely himself, learning to cope in job interviews with the stigma of being an ex-criminal. Then when the client is ready, he moves into his own apartment near his job and is invited to commute to house activities. Finally, after about 8 months, the ex-criminal is fully on his own. Bell says some clients come back to visit and thank the staff for helping them. Alan McRae says he and other clients have developed a sense of family here that many of them never had.
We're like one big family. It's always, there's peace and serenity. I mean, everybody's just happy. Nobody is pushed. Nobody's told you have to do that. They say, hey, look, could you help me do this? Or would you like to do this? Or, you know, they make the guys want to live here. It's like their own home. When they go eat, it's a family-style eating. You have a good cook that serves good food.
Tina Court began volunteering her time to Riverside House 3 years ago after hearing Bell speak at her church in North Dade. Court and other volunteers, including Bell's wife, Cindy, prepare items for a monthly rummage sale. Cleveland Bell says financial gifts are important, but so is volunteer time. Mrs. Court's husband, Dennis, also gives his time to Riverside House. At first, the Courts were apprehensive. Dennis was especially wary of letting Tina go without him. But time changed that.
And going down there and just meeting some of the guys, you know, not saying a whole lot, just meeting them and seeing their faces and, you know, just a few words just really kind of helped say that, hey, these are people, and, you know, some of them were, you know, real nice people, real outgoing people, and it just helped me just to make that contact.
Yeah, I think it's an opportunity for me as a suburban housewife to become involved in the city at large. I don't know any other thing that, for me, it's a way of expressing instead of sitting around grumbling about all the crime and everything. It's an opportunity for me to get out and do something in a very positive way that helps not only Riverside House, but it helps the young men there, it helps the community. Just to be able to express something in this situation with the riots and everything that's going on, that is really good for me, personally. very good for me.
Staff members and community volunteers spend nights tutoring clients with individually tailored programs. Counselor Sam Perrun has learned sign language in order to teach Ron, a deaf-mute client, to read. Ron always greets everyone with a smile and a message.
Hey, everybody.
Jesus loves everybody.
Counselors tell us that Ron came to Riverside with a very negative attitude. Now his spirit seems to uplift those around him. Tina Court says learning to talk to Ron is an example of what Riverside House is all about, giving each client a chance to become a whole person.
No, just being able to begin to say a few words and let him respond, to take the time, let him respond to however he responds, and to just accept him the way he is. And I think that's the neat thing probably about the holistic approach, is the fact that these guys are accepted exactly the way they are.
You know, I'm so thankful, man, that when I see you guys, I don't have to wonder what you've done, when you've done it, because it ain't even important. The first thing I look at when you come, when a guy comes to this house, the first thing I look at is, Lord, how are you going to reach that guy? And God, can I be a part? I don't care what you did. Because you see, some men 10 years ago, 12 years ago, looked at me and they didn't care what I did either. All they cared about was me and me coming to the knowledge of Christ.
The success of any halfway house is difficult to measure, but those involved with Riverside House sincerely believe that combining community involvement and a holistic approach to each individual is a success formula. Like the well-known spiritual hymn, Down by the Riverside, clients here learn to lay down both the swords of crime and the shields of insecurities, and then begin to sing songs of praise and seek peace.
Blind man stood by the road and he cried. Blind man stood by the road and he cried. Blind man stood by the road and he cried. Oh, don't lead the way. Don't lead the way. Don't lead the way. The way I go home.
I've never run into a place like this before. There is in Minnesota, I've seen halfway houses. I've seen Christian halfway houses before. I've actually lived in them, but I've never seen that love that is beyond all understanding, that peace.
Happy birthday, dear Curtis. Happy birthday to you.
This place is it. Because I was outside, I was out there in the cold, and they did hear me. They says, okay, you know, looks like you're really desperate, you know, come on in, we'll do the best we can for you. And all we ask for you to do is to try to do your best for yourself. That is what we're looking for. And I says, okay, that's a deal. I couldn't say no, you know, I couldn't say no.
Well, since we filmed that story, several things have changed. Don Williams has returned home to live with his family. Riverside House has almost doubled its bed space, and Ron Perry, the deaf-mute in our story, is now living on his own and taking a vocational training course. Hate, I think, has to be one of the most unhealthy of all human emotions. And when you link together a group of people under a banner of hate, that group, by its design, presents an unsavory atmosphere, to say the least. Next week on Montage, Diana Gonzalez-DeRuthi takes a look at this nation's most infamous hate group, the Ku Klux Klan. And my guest, Arthur Milton, has some very scathing comments when discussing the topic of his new book, How Your Life Insurance Policies Rob You. That's our montage for this week. I'm Joe Averill.